I celebrate myself, and what I assume, you shall assume. For every atom belonging to me, as good belongs to you. I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. That's from Whitman's Leaves of Grass. George loved Whitman. Despite his rough exterior, George Andrews was a well-read man. He and I spent many an hour discussing Simons, Carpenter, Whitman, and Wilde over brandy and a couple of good cigars. But it's been 25 forlorn years since he passed away. I miss him every day. He was more than a next-door neighbor and a business partner. George was my mentor and the best friend I ever had in this world. He and I were cut from the same cloth. In our case, on the bias. Completely against the grain. I knew from a very early age I wasn't like my proper Vermont-raised mother or my even more proper English-born father. Of my 6 siblings, I was really only ever close to my older brother James. After he came to California in 1853, I followed. James was always the adventurous one. He was captain of a ship on Lake Champlain before coming to California. And I guess I've got some adventure in my blood too. After leaving New York State in 1854, I walked across the Panama Isthmus to catch the steamer Golden Gate bound for San Francisco. My brother and his wife were good to me up there in Placerville, but being a 49er was a hard way to make a living. Scrabbling in the heat and cold, the bitter, bitter cold of winter, all for a few infinitesimal flecks of that most tempting of Earth's offerings, gold. Glitter, gelt, nuggets, dust, call it what you will, gold will drive a man out of his wits quicker than whiskey. But those 9 long years of struggle gave me 2 important things. The small stake I used to go into business, and George. 2 important things that changed my life forever for the better. I'll always be grateful. George and I met while panning for gold up in the gold country. He was 18 years older than I, from Connecticut. I was in awe of him. He had been so many places and done so many fascinating things. We thought Sebastopol, where we were completely unknown, was the perfect place to start our lives together. I came first to set things up, to get a feel for the financial opportunities, and to find places for us to live. George followed a little later, and we partnered several successful business ventures. George taught me how to run a saloon. He'd been a saloon keeper up at a hotel in Eureka. We became Wells Fargo agents, and we sold dry goods, all of which supported us very successfully. But all the while, we were forced to hide our true selves from the world around us. In California, in the 1850s, if found guilty of maintaining a relationship similar to ours, one could be sentenced to from 5 years to life in prison. In England, up until 1834, it was a hanging offense. How I envy your modern society, so open and accepting, so less judgmental than in my time and our time. George and I never could have imagined a concept like gay rights would exist one day, never in our wildest dreams. After George died in 1888, I followed closely the trial of the noted playwright Oscar Wilde in England. He was sentenced to 2 years in England's most notorious prison and died penniless after he was released. Such a brilliant man. And what was he guilty of, I ask you? Of loving someone? Is that a crime? Love? A certain passage written by Oscar Wilde has always struck a chord deep within me. Society will have no place for me, but nature, whose sweet rains will fall on just and unjust alike, will have clefts in the rocks where I may hide, and secret valleys in whose silence I may weep undisturbed. She will hang with stars, so that I may walk abroad in the darkness without stumbling, and send the wind over my footprints, so that none may track me to my hurt. She will cleanse me in great waters, and with bitter herbs make me whole. Thanks for dropping by. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.